Good afternoon, all you beautiful people out there in the world who's part of the Eat Your First 100K in Coaching Sales Facebook group. I believe we are live, but I'm just going to double check, just to make sure that everything is singing and dancing as it should be. So if you're here and catch me live, let me know, #live. If you're catching this on a replay at any point today or in the future, and you're consuming this information that I am openly willing to share with you to help you to grow your business, generate sales with HighTicket clients, then #replay. Let me know that you are catching this information. So again, I'm just going to double check that we are streaming, and it looks like that we're streaming. We'll be streaming for less than 20 seconds as of now. So we're good to go. Okay, now I specifically today want to talk to you about the thing that you are selling, your coaching. And I want to ask you, right? I'm talking to you as an individual. Collectively, there's a lot of people on there that's going to be watching this. But you, do you really know what you are selling? Do you really know what you're selling? Like really? Like honestly, do you really know what you're selling? And the reason why I ask that is because the amount of coaches that I have speaking with me, and then when I ask them, okay, so what is it that you do? Tell me about your coaching program. Tell me about what it is that you're selling. They stutter. They stumble. They struggle to clearly articulate to me in what it is that they do, how they do it, who they do it for, and the outcome that they produce. They struggle to showcase or break down what their offer looks like. They don't have a framework that their offer is built on. They don't have any formulas within inside their offer. And it ends up where they divert talking about their offer or what they do or what they're selling to their clients. Now, I'm just going to quickly close this down because somebody's trying to get hold of me and is interfering with what is it I want to speak to you about. So, your offer. So, okay, can you honestly and on heart tell me, right, what it is that you're selling? Do you really know what you're selling? Because the thing is, if you cannot articulate in a way what you do that's easily consumable from somebody else, that they can understand, then they're not going to buy into your offer. And if you can't sell the thing that you want to sell, then you're never going to be able to build a career around coaching. And at the end of the day, you need to be able to make sales in order to survive in business and in order to be a coach, right? So what I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to walk you through our blueprint. I'm going to walk you through our blueprint. I'm going to show you how we craft an HighTicket signature offer, right? This irresistible to your marketplace. Because what we need to understand, right, there's three reasons, ultimately, right, there's three reasons why people don't buy. And these are the same three reasons why people are not going to buy from you. Same three reasons why people won't buy from me. Same three reasons why people will not buy from anybody else, right? And these three reasons, right, the first reason is that they do not trust you as a coach. They don't trust you as a coach. So one of the ways that we overcome that is by building marketing assets. Building marketing assets that we put people through, that we put prospects through, that allows our target market, our audience, to get over the trust hurdle very, very quickly. So we eliminate that. Right? So everybody that comes to us, everybody that comes to our clients, right, the people that come to them, they already trust that that coach is somebody that can help them. The other reason why somebody will not buy from you is because they don't trust in themselves. So again, that is something that you can that is something that you can what's the word I'm looking for? Eliminate, again, inside your marketing trainings. By allowing them to see that where they are, right, and what they've got and who they are, and a few other things as well, which I'll not divulge, but allow them to see that they can, right, have trust in themselves to start moving forward and start achieving the results that they struggled to achieve for such a long time. So we can eliminate that again with inside our marketing. So again, there's 3 reasons, right? So the first reason is that they don't trust in you as a coach. We can eliminate that inside marketing messages. The second reason is that they don't trust in themselves. The third reason, right, is that they don't trust in your coaching offer. So if you can't create trust with inside the thing that you're selling, then you're never going to be able to sell it. So again, this is the reason why what I'm going to show you now is like inside our HighTicket, how we craft an HighTicket signature offer. Now, what I'm going to show you is actually only part of this. I'm not going to show you all, out of respect of my program and out of the respect of my clients that actually invest a lot of money into getting access to elements of this, right? So I'm just going to quickly share my screen and have a drink at the same time. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay. There we go. So in 3, 2, 1, you now should be able to see a workflow. HighTicket signature offer blueprint. And I can see it come up. Right, again, this is what I teach clients, right? This is one of the things that we do inside our signature offer program. And the reason why we do this is so fundamental that we get this right, that, there's no point in me giving you marketing strategies or tactics in order to go out there and start generating leads. If once we get people onto a call, right, then the thing that you're selling is not sellable. So we've got to make sure that your offer is packaged in a way that it allows you to articulate it or frame it or explain it in a way that when you explain it to your coaching prospects, your potential clients, right, it makes sense to them. It's like to them, it's something that they can't refuse. To them, it's like, wow, nobody's explained that to me before like that in that sequential order of sequence, that I now understand that yes, I don't have to struggle with the problem that I'm struggling. Somebody's actually shown me a clear pathway to me generating the results that I desire, right? So this is like the blueprint that we take our clients on. And again, if you're watching this live, let me know, #live. Catching this on a replay, let me know, #replay. If there's any questions around this, then let me know. If you actually want me to send you a copy of this, a screen grab of this, then I can, no problem, I can get that to you too. And again, any questions around this, then let me know. I can see that we've got somebody here with me now. Let me just have a quick look, see if I can see who it is. Michael, how are you, my friend? So let's get into this, right? So the HighTicket signature offer blueprint: how to build a unique signature program that serves your clients from the highest of levels, that guarantees results that you can sell for the largest of profits. And this is another thing as well, right? When you're speaking to a prospect, can you guarantee them results? Now, yeah, at the end of the day, right, it's up to them to come into the program, and it's up to them to level up, and it's up to them to be committed to follow through, do the work, and all that good stuff, right? But on the outside, right, can you guarantee that what you're going to put people through is going to get them the results? Because I know there's a lot of coaches out there that just really wing it, right? They're winging their services. They've got this credential, they've got this cert, they've got this, these coaching gifts, and they're talented coaches, but they don't have like a clear pathway. Or when a client starts, the client starts here, and then they need to take step 1, then step 2, then step 3, then step 4, all these steps in order to get them from where they are to where they desire to be. And if you can't do that, if you can't showcase that, you can't really guarantee results. It can't really guarantee results. And again, as I said earlier on, there's a lot of coaches just winging it. And they're just going from coaching call to coaching call to coaching call to coaching call without any like guidance or like a clear path of moving forward. So it's quite warm in here, so I'm going to be taking quite a few drinks. Sorry about that. So let's dive into this. So where where is this best used, right? So we use this for if a new client is building a new signature offer. So they've got a service, but it's not really packaged in a way that allows them to articulate and show frameworks and fundamentals and blueprints and all that stuff, right? So we use this when somebody's building a new signature offer, but we also use this as well if a client comes to us who's already got an existing offer, but it needs to up leveling, right? So we use this as well for when we're repackaging somebody else's offer. We're reskinning it, we're repackaging it, right? We're up leveling it. So where do we start? Well, we start here, the top right hand corner, with the 3-point framework. And it's quite simple. There's nothing real complex about this. And I frame it out like this because it's easy for me to explain what needs to happen. And it's easy for like people like yourselves and clients to be able to visually see how it's built and engineered and structured and mapped out. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, I get it, I understand. Which obviously makes it a lot simpler, right? And that's one of my crafts, I think, is to simplify what other people make complex. So it starts with a 3-point framework. So the first point is like the what, right? What is the big result that you are offering the world or you're offering your dream client by them working with you, by them investing their hard-earned savings with you? What is that big, tangible, kick-ass result that you're going to help them to achieve? Then the second point is, who is the ideal dream, or shall we say the $10,000 client who you want to help to achieve that result? And then the third point is like how? Well, so how are you going to help them generate that result? So it's everything that we do is built on this 3-point framework. So first of all, we're going to be starting off with the end result. And the end result is the what, right? So this execute here, the end result, the life-changing result, the big kick-ass result that you help your clients achieve. What is that? Now, again, typically, a lot of coaches, they talk about all these things that they help their clients achieve, but when it comes down to that really big kick-ass tangible result, right, that life-changing result, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's in health, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in terms of money, whether it's whatever it is, right, whatever market sector you're in, your program should really be built and only be built on delivering one specific outcome. Now, I'm just delivering a training here, right? You need to be able to identify what that specific outcome is. And that outcome needs to be tangible. It needs to be tangible. Now, you might be saying, Andy, well, I'm not selling anything that generates money, right? There's no money reward from me doing this, right? So you've got to look at it at a deep level. And if you keep looking at the result that you generate on a deep level, somewhere along the line, right, behind the scenes, you will get to a tangible level. You'll get to a tangible result. And if you want to hop on a call and discuss that, then we can do that, right? I'll open up channels that allows that to happen. Now, the thing that you're delivering, right, the big kick-ass result that you're delivering, it needs to be built around your genius, your zone of genius. It needs to be built around your effortless zone of genius. So let me explain a little bit more about this, because why this is so important is I see a lot of coaches doing things that they don't love to do. Or I see a lot of coaches doing things that they struggle to do. Or I see a lot of coaches do things that they only really feel as though it needs to be in there because it needs to be in there, right? And it might sound a little bit silly, but end of the day, right? The only thing that you need to be working on is the things that you're good at, the things that come easy to you, right? The results that you can help somebody to get that is effortless to you, that is easy to you, right? That's built around the things that light you up. That's built around the conversations that you just can't wait to jump out of bed to have each and every day, right? That light you up, that empower you, that inspire you, that motivate you. And not doing things, right, that doesn't put you in flow, that puts you out of alignment. If you're building anything inside your coaching offer or your business or your program, right, that doesn't light you up, right, it doesn't need to be there. It needs to be out. You need to out it. So the result that you're creating should be built around your effortless natural genius. The thing you can help somebody to get a result, right, that is easy for you. Because if it's easy for you, it's going to be easy for you to help them to get that result. Does that make sense? Okay. So first and foremost, you need to get clarity on this. Now we have worksheets, right? What I'm doing here, I'm actually showcasing like a workflow, right? But we have worksheets that is set up to allow clients to identify what that specific thing is. So once we've got an understanding, once we've got clarity around this, right, the end result, what we can do now is we can reverse engineer down to the top tier client, all right? So now we understand what this big kick-ass result is. Now we can reverse engineer back saying, okay, so let's have a look at our target market. Let's have a look at our target market. And let's ask ourselves a question. Who is inside our target market that is wanting this specific result? Now, and what you're looking at here, if you look at the 3-point framework, we're now on the second point, right? So who in your target market is looking for this big kick-ass result? Now, the problem is, and you've heard me mention this and talk about this many times before, is that like your marketplace as a whole is full of people that's wanting this life-changing result. Now, as I've told like many times before as well, is that like, you know, not all, whilst there's all these people in this marketplace that's wanting the result, you can't save everybody, right? So we need to identify the people that you can serve easier, better, faster, and quicker. Now, as I mentioned before, your target market, not everybody's a buyers in your target market. Not everybody's willing to like invest at $5,000. Not everybody's willing to invest at $12,000. Not everybody's willing to invest at $300. All right, there's people in your marketplace that's not even willing to invest $27. So what you need to understand is if we look at this ladder that I've drawn, right, where are your ideal dream clients sitting on this ladder? Because 90% of your target market are not buyers, right? There's 30% of people at the bottom of this ladder, and whilst they're wanting this result, right, they're at the bottom of the ladder. And whilst you can help them, it's harder for you to help people that's only maybe just starting out, or maybe they're struggling with a something else that's stopping them from moving up the ladder, right? But potentially 30% of your target market, right, whilst they might have a problem, they're actually not problem aware. And then there's another level of your target market, whilst they've got the problem that you can solve, and whilst they might potentially wanting the result, right, they're not solution aware. And there's another 30% of your target market, whilst there might be problem aware, they're solution aware, they want to solve this problem themselves. So whilst you might want to serve everybody, it's a lot harder to serve 90% of your marketplace. You can go out there into the marketplace and you can say, well, you know, I'm mission driven and I want to serve everybody. Well, good luck to that, right? good luck to that, because it's really hard to sell to people that's not willing to buy. And as much as you try to convince them or persuade them or, dangle a carrot in front of them and offer cheaper discounts and do all this stuff to try to help them, to try to pull them through, right? It's just going to make your world really hard to sell in. So I suggest, and again, this is what we help clients do, is like to climb higher and higher and higher and higher up the ladder until they're at a level where they understand that these are buyers, right? And they are marketing to buyers and they are selling to buyers. So that means is that when we're creating our signature offer, we are creating our signature offer specifically designed, engineered, and structured to help buyers. Because when you're building your business, right, to serve buyers, these people are higher up the ladder. So that means the elements of the information that we put inside the program is going to be different to the people that's lower on the ladder. Because these people are going to want different information to what this level of clientele need, right? So it matters. It matters. So you need to identify what big result you're delivering. You need to get clarity on buyers, right? And again, we have worksheets inside the program that extracts this information from you, that then allows you to move forward to create this or to map out your own blueprint, right? So once we've identified who the top tier clients are, that's why they call them top tier, because it's the top tier, right? It's the top level clients. And then what we can do is we can reverse engineer back to understand what their bleeding net problem is. I'm just going to take a drink. So their bleeding net problem, right? Sounds a little bit drastic, sounds a little bit severe, but it's what you need to be focusing on. So many coaches out there, they're focusing on problems that's not really problems. And if you watched my recent training that I did last week, which was like an hour and 40 minutes in-depth mastermind training, the first part of that training that I was talking about was like section number 1 was kind of like building out your, we're talking about the framework that I call the power of one, which is again, a deeper insight into what this is all about as well. The HighTicket signature offer blueprint, the work hand in hand. But inside that program, I was talking about people, our coaches, they are trying to sell symptoms and not problems, right? And symptoms are not really bleeding neck problems. It's the big problem. It's the core problem that they're suffering with that's stopping them from moving forward. Now, whilst they've got a lot of inefficiencies, and as you can see here, right, I've got inefficiencies here along this timeline. Whilst your target market is suffering with different inefficiencies, and I'll give you examples of my target market, that's not really the bleeding neck problem, right? There's something that is bigger. There's something that that they need to rush to the hospital for and get emergency surgery on. Because it's not until you understand what that big problem is. Once you understand what that big problem is, you're not going to be able to really structure a program that solves that problem. And as I talk about many times before, it's like, if you understand this, that everything external of your HighTicket offer, right, is part of your HighTicket offer. It's an extension of your HighTicket offer. So if you don't understand what your target market bleeding neck problem is, then you can't articulate that in your marketing message, because your marketing message is an extension of what we're creating here. Does that make sense? Because if you're going out there into the marketplace and you're just talking about the inefficiencies and you never get into the bleeding neck problem, then you're never going to have that impact in the marketplace that's like, wow, right? It grabs their attention. I'm giving you this away for free today, right? I've been part of so many programs that supposedly talk about building a signature offer that they don't even go into this depth inside paid programs, right? And I'm just giving you like a glimpse of what it looks like to the depths what we go to inside working with our clients. So we've got these inefficiencies here, right? So let's have a look at inefficiencies. So we've got some red ones and we've got some blue ones here. You see the inefficiencies of these guys here that's just at the bottom of the run of the ladder, their inefficiencies, they're totally different to the inefficiencies of the people as buyers. Does that make sense? Right? Again, this is why you need to get clarity on who it is that you're selling to. Real in-depth clarity on what you're selling to, who you're selling to. And again, when we are like really getting laser crystal clarity on our avatar, we've got sheets that we help clients go through to really get them to get clarity. And again, it's something that many coaching programs don't cover in such depth, which one of the reasons why, when they come out of the coaching program, that they're not generating sales because they can't go out there into the marketplace and attract the people they want to attract because they don't know they're attracting. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So, like if we look at some of the inefficiencies that our clients struggle with, and one of those is their messaging. Right, they're out there each and every day. They're posting on social media, but what they post on social media is not getting the attraction that it needs. And because it's not getting the attraction, so that's like one efficiency, right? Yeah, they're out there each and every day. They're posting on social media. They're posting inside all these groups, and it's just landing on deaf ears. Right, the marketing message isn't having the impact that they desire in the marketplace to get clients, right, or to generate leads. Or if it is, it's not attracting the right quality clients. So that's one inefficiency. Another inefficiency is that they don't know how to convert leads to clients. Right? They're in Messenger each and every day. They realize that they should be in Messenger each and every day, creating conversations, but they're having conversations for the sake of having conversations. Then conversations, they're never leading anywhere. Right? So they don't know how to converse. They don't know how to sell in chat, should I say, right? Another one is, again, something as simple as this. And it's not simple if you don't know about how to do it, but they don't know how to frame their offer. They don't know how to, when somebody's on a call with them, they don't know how to break down their offer on a call that allows them to articulate it in a way that is effective. And effective to a level that, like, when you explain it to your prospect, it's like, wow, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. But it also makes logical sense. And it allows them to see that, yes, wow, well, what you've got, what you're offering is something that I need. And now I can understand that, this is a structure, this is a framework of how I can do it. Right? So they don't know how to position their offer. And then another inefficiency is that when they bring a client on board, is that they don't know how to guarantee results, right? They don't have a structured system in place, like a proprietary system in place, a framework that can actually guarantee results. Now, that's just a few inefficiencies, right? But the big bleeding neck problem that my clients have is that they can't make money online. They cannot make money online. And because they can't make money online, right, because they can't do all these other inefficiencies, the small inefficiencies, right, they're not making money online. And that means that, right, potentially they have to get a job, or potentially they have to get a part-time job, or potentially they're burning through the hard-earned savings that they've been saving for years and years and years, right, winging that sometime soon that they're going to start earning money, right? They do not know how to generate money online. And if they are generating money online, right, the time frame between earning money to then earning another amount of money and then another set of money and another set of money is too far apart. And they need to start closing that gap. right? So that's like the bleeding net problem that my target marketplace is suffering with. Let me know if that's you. Let me know if that rings a bell. Okay, so but this is a blueprint. This is the formula that you need to be able to go through to understand your target market and to build a framework. So you've got your HighTicket signature offer, right? So now we understand what the bleeding net problem is. Now we understand what the life-changing result is that you are wanting to change in the world. Now what we can do is build your own unique proprietary signature framework. Now let me explain what this means. Now, what a lot of coaches do is that they go out there into the marketplace and they're like kind of like selling apples for apples, right? Beans for beans. And what I mean by that is like, you can go down to here in the UK, we have Asda, we have Tesco's, we have Morrison's. These are all our like high street large shops, right? Where we go for its groceries, foods and everything, right? And you can go to Asda, you can go to Tesco's, they're all selling apples, they're all selling apples for the same price. So, what differentiates me going to Asda or going to Morrison's to buy, some apples, right? But that's what's happening with coaches. Coaches are selling apples for apples. And what this means is that they're operating in an environment that positions them with a commodity-like feel. And that means you're selling like for like. There's other coaches in the marketplace that are selling the same things as what you're selling. And there's nothing that sets you apart. Now, I posted in a group yesterday, like, what makes you better at doing what you do over your competitors? And everything that everybody came back to me was, well, I'm more compassionate than my competitor, right? I love my clients. I show up every day for my clients. Like they were telling me all the reasons that it doesn't really set you apart from anybody else, because there's other people in the world, right, that are coaches that's offering the same as you that are as compassionate as you, right? Being compassionate doesn't make you unique. And all these other things that you might feel as though is making you unique in the marketplace isn't. The only thing that's going to make you unique in the marketplace, yes, your personality, right? There's nobody else out there that can match your personality. But what you've got to think about is like, coach, your prospects are not buying into you because of your personality. All they're buying into is you because you can generate this big kick-ass result here. And you can allow them to, fix this bleeding neck problem down here for once and for all. So whilst, yes, they buy into you, at the end of the day, they're selfish, and all that they want are the results. If they can get the results without working with you, then they would do, right? So your uniqueness, right, is your proprietary signature framework, your proprietary signature solution, right? The way that you build your offer that is different to what other people are building or offering in the marketplace. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if this makes sense. Because if you can't go out there into the marketplace and position something that looks totally unique, that's filled with different mechanisms, right, and that they've never heard of before, then you're never going to be able to sell high ticket prices. You're never going to be able to separate from other people in the marketplace that's selling something that looks identical to what you're already selling. Because at the end of the day, they can turn around to you and say, well, it sounds good, but I actually jumped on a strategy call with somebody else last week and it sounds like they're selling exactly the same thing. Apples for apples. Right? So what we need to do is, first of all, I'm just going to grab a quick drink. Again, let me know if this makes sense. So we need to create a client success pathway. And when we do this, right, we're actually operating at 4 levels here. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to get clarity on the point A, which is down here, and get clarity on what this big kick-ass result, the end game, looks like. And what we need to do, the first level that we need to work at, is we need to build big steps to success. Big steps to success. So if you look at the journey that you need to take your clients on from this bleeding neck problem to them generating the big kick-ass result, right? Without jumping into it like too deep, looking at it from a high level point of view, you should be able to create some pillars, right? 3 pillars or 4 pillars of like the big steps that they need to go on in order to get from point A to point B. Let me give you an example. So the big pillars that my program is built on, the 6-figure accelerator program, which is part of the clients and profits group, is like the first pillar is traffic. You need traffic. Every business needs traffic. Without traffic, you'll never be able to get exposure to your marketing message. If you can't get exposure to your marketing message, your market audience will never know that you exist. Right? So the first thing that you need is traffic. You need to be able to get your marketing message and get it in front of your target audience as quick as possible, because that's going to allow you to gain exposure. Right? People then can see, wow, this coach is here and this is what this coach does. If you can't do that, then everything external of that is just like a waste of time. Right? So no business on this planet can survive if it doesn't get exposure. So the 6-figure accelerator program, right? The first pillar is we talk about traffic, gaining exposure. The second pillar is all about marketing assets, building marketing assets. As I mentioned earlier on, right, there's 3 reasons why people don't buy from you. One of that first reason is that people don't trust you. So in order to get people to trust you, you need to be able to create marketing assets, right? So like trainings, blueprints, formulas, in forms of video content, in forms of any other type of media that we can put trainings that you can position in front of people, right? That helps them to that gives them results in advance, helps you to showcase your credibility, helps you to showcase your talents, your skills, your mindset, helps you to showcase like your frameworks, how you work with people, helps you to showcase your greatness, helps you to showcase clients' results, wins, to help them to get over that trust hurdle, right? So the second pillar is all about building marketing assets. So the first pillar, traffic. The second pillar, marketing assets. The third pillar is conversations and sales, right? Conversations and sales. If you're having all these people consuming your material and you're generating leads, yet you can't have conversations with them and sell them and convert them into sales, then you're never going to get clients, right? So pillar 1 and pillar 2 is a waste of time. So pillar 3 is all about really conversions, converting traffic and leads into clients. Can you see how I've got a logical framework that's laid out in sequential order of sequence, right? And then pillar 4 is all about the logistics of business. Business 4 is really all about scaling, moving forward, evolving, right? Growth in your business. Does that make sense? So you can see how like these are the big pillars of my business. What you need to be able to do is craft out your big pillars. Because look at it this way, right? This is one of the things where a lot of coaches get struggled with, is that when they are trying to sell their offer, they jump into it too deep. Now, if you go and buy a car, right, and you go down to the the sales room, the car sales room, the sales guy isn't telling you how the engine works, right? You don't give 2 craps about that. You're not bothered about like looking underneath the hood and him explaining, I know nothing about cars because I can't go into it in depth. You know, but you're not really bothered about like the smaller detail of how the engine works. You don't give two craps about that. You just want to look at the aesthetics. And these is the aesthetics, right, of your business. But what clients do, like they jump into it too deep and they try to explain it in such finer detail that they get confused, the prospective clients get confused, and they can't sell it. Right? So the prospect walks away just scratching their head thinking, well, I'm just like too overwhelmed. Right? They don't need to know all that stuff. So this is one of the reasons why the big pillars are there, because you can just quickly walk and talk them through these pillars so they at least know that you've got a client pathway. Right? When they start with you, you've got an agenda for them. So they can see what's coming in advance of them actually working with you. And they're not just going to turn up to a call where you're just going to wing it. Does that make sense? So you need to identify level 1. Then level 2. Level 2 is where you're actually now digging into this deeper. And this is where I've stopped drawing diagrams and stuff because I'm just going to articulate it to you. So now you're actually going to like jump into each and individual pillars to really like put meat on the bones. And if you've been into like, these are what I call areas or phases, and these are smaller stepping stones, right? So to get into like if I look at pillar 1, which is traffic, like if I break that element down into smaller steps or modules, right? Then there's like the smaller steps that they need to go through in order to fulfill everything inside pillar 1. Does that make sense? And then likewise in pillar 2. And then likewise in pillar 3 and in pillar 4. Now again, right, talking about these pillars, you might not have 4 pillars, you might have 3 pillars. Fundamentally, you don't really want any more than 4. And if you're like crafting out any more than 4, you're going into it too deep. And you're not working at a high enough level. So once you've got down to level 2, then it's like looking at level 3. And this is where you really put in like meat on the bones of the trainings within inside the program, because this is where you're crafting the smaller steps. This is where you're crafting the core curriculum. In fact, actually, that is level 3. Level 4 is something else. My mistake. So that's like level 3, where you're actually putting meat in the bones, and that's where you're actually adding in the trainings, the classes, the spreadsheets, the documents, the worksheets, right? The blueprints. Yeah. And then, so that's material. That's like the core curriculum. That's material that they will work through that's going to deliver the transformation. And then at level 4, that's when you really need to start packaging it. And you need to be looking at different elements within inside your business. And like if we look at some of the things that I package up inside my business, where you're adding on like this is where you're sexing it up. Right? This is where you're adding some sexiness into your business, and this is what makes it different. And this is what creates that uniqueness. You're adding formulas in there, and you're building blueprints, and you're crafting your own methodologies and principles based around like some of the things that you've put inside the program. So if you look at some of the elements that I talk about, and then again, this is what's going to allow you to have not be selling apples for apples, beans for beans, and setting you apart from everybody else in the marketplace by adding mechanisms in here, right, that nobody else is talking about. So for example, things like what I have inside my program is like the power of one. Right, the power of one is a framework that I've created that I do not know anybody else that talks about the power of one when it comes to building a high-ticket signature offer. And the power of one is a simple framework that breaks down the simplicity of building a high-ticket signature offer that is based around providing one solution for overcoming one specific problem for one specific person, with one specific marketing message, with one specific price point, one specific delivery mechanism, all this stuff, right? It's the power of one. Whilst everybody else in the marketplace is over confusing people by like saying that you need all these different offers, I'm simplifying it, right? So that's a mechanism that when I talk about that in the marketplace, it looks different. It is different. It's unique, right? It's rare in the marketplace. Another methodology or framework that I talk about is the organic flywheel, which then it helps me to express and showcases like how our marketing works, right? How we generate traffic, how we turn that traffic into conversations, how we convert those conversations into booked calls, how we turn those booked calls into sales, right? And there's an explanation of how that organic flywheel works, which helps the target market, the prospects, to understand it. It's like, oh right, yeah, wow, I get it. Right? So we're adding all these mechanisms inside our program and inside our marketing that that makes it easy for our target market to understand. And these are the things that you need to be like building inside your business, inside your offer, inside your marketing. Right? Does that make sense? So in a nutshell, and I know I've gone quite long now, but that is like the HighTicket signature offer blueprint. Now, again, we actually do go in depth deeper inside the program, but that's like from a 30,000 foot viewpoint of the depths that we go to. And then just to quickly illustrate, it's like, once you've built that out, then it's a case of getting it out there into the world, right? And putting people through your program, And then as you're putting three prospects through your program, then it's a case of what we have a worksheet of 10 questions that allows you to go through these questions to get program certainty. You can get a level of certainty, before to get out there into the marketplace to feel confident in what it is that you're offering. But to be truthful, the only way you're going to get confident is actually get people through your program. That's where confidence comes, and that's where you're going to build certainty. But as you're building it and as you're putting people through and you're getting a feeling of how the program is working and looking and operating it and functioning at, we have a series of questions that you can take yourself through that you can really ask yourself, okay, so is this element of the program in the best place within inside the program? And if it is, why is it there? What is the benefit of this element of the program being specifically here? Why is it here and not over here? If it was over here, how would it make the result indifferent? Would it make the result better? Would it help to get the client's result quicker? Right? So over a period of time, you can shift this around, and until you get to a position in business where you've got 100% certainty on your program. Right? Seriously, I don't know anybody that builds programs like this at the depth of this and with this much detail. So you can actually go out there into the marketplace being confident, having certainty in what it is that you're selling, to be able to sell it at a high ticket price point. One of the reasons why a lot of coaches don't feel comfortable at selling at a high ticket price point, because they know they don't have anything like this. And because they know they don't have anything like this and they're not serving the clients from the highest of levels, which this does, right? They can't guarantee results. And because they can't guarantee results, they don't have the confidence to sell at the largest of profits, right? But when you structure something out at this depth, you can do and you will do. Okay, guys, so I'm going to love you and leave you. If you've got any questions around this, then let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. If you want to hop on a call to, for me to diagnose your offer, I'll look at your offer, I'll look at your structure, have a look at your framework, then I'll actually add a link underneath this and you can schedule that in. If you want to have a look at what it looks like to actually work with us, so we can actually jump in here and absolutely help you to either build your own unique signature offer or repackage, reskin what it is that you already have into something that's totally unique. So you've got your own proprietary signature offer that you can sell at a high ticket price point, then let me know. Because it's this kind of stuff that when you get on a call with a prospect and you start explaining what you do at this level, this is the kind of stuff that, makes it really hard for your client to walk away from. Because you're positioning an offer that is just totally, they can't refuse it. Right? It actually would make them look silly to refuse it, because this is it's going to be one of the best things that you've actually positioned in front of them, that nobody else has actually ever done it at such level that it wouldn't make sense for them to walk away from. It makes sense. Okay then, guys, so I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope you've had an amazing day. I hope you've enjoyed this training, and I'll look forward to speaking to you very soon, if not on another call, on another training, with Inside a Call. Speak to you soon.